Today we're going to show how to make airfoil templates with the MH22 in Corel X4. Right there I'm pulling the guideline down to find the center line of the airfoil. Now I'm going to pull me another guideline to the leading edge of the airfoil. I'm going to zoom in, attach it to the very front of the airfoil. Make sure this is on the zero line of the airfoil. Now I'm going to set my zero to the leading edge of the airfoil. Now I can click here. Once I pull my zero to the airfoil, I click here and it should be 0, 0 and 0, 0. Now I'm going to measure 1/2 inch ahead of my airfoil. And now that's at 601 is this guideline here. I'm going to make it I'm going to draw my rectangle for my template. Readjust my square after I made an even 4.75. Now at this point I'm going to need to use this later, so I'm going to go up here and change it to a hairline, change it to color red. Okay. I'm going to make my lead in and lead out 70 thousandths. Make it a hairline also, which is what this does. I'm also going to copy that and use it as a wire stop on the trailing edge. At this point I'm going to do a step and repeat function. No offset. I will need an offset -1 inch. That's going to cause the copies to go down. I need 2 copies, and that's not enough of a dimension to come down, so I'm going to do 1.5. And then it gives me some adequate spacing. So now I'm going to go ahead and remove the top airfoil to make my template. Come in here and cut that. I have to change my line thickness to hairline for the box. This is my lead in at radius, which I'm going to adjust right now with the 0.70 thousandths circle. Right now, if I go ahead and try to delete it, it worked pretty well. Sometimes you'll have to put some guidelines in there, like this, to stop it from taking the whole circle away. And then you may have to put one here at this node also here. Now when I select this, that's where that guideline ends, right there. Now when I hold down shift, it selects my second guideline. I've got an overlap of this guy, the red line, which I want to keep the airfoil, so I'm going to place a node here. So I'm going to click on here and then hit plus. This will add me a node. I'll drag this down and delete. And at this point I'll just drag this over to there because it's my lead-in radius. Adjust my radius a little bit. Hit combine. Now I have an object with the airfoil top with the bottom airfoil template. Now I go back to the back of the airfoil. That is just not connected, so I'm connecting that. And then now I'm going to make my wire stop in the back and also connect the lines to make an object. Again, holding the shift key down, arrange and combine. If I try to fill this right now, it will not fill because it is not an object. So if I hit fill in any color, it will not fill until I connect this last line here. That one is now done. I've placed the 70 thousandths radius at the front, and I've also placed the 70 thousandths wire stop at the rear. I'm going to remove the color by selecting the box and hitting the X. Now I'm going to work on my top airfoil. So I'm going to place the 70 thousandths lead-in line on the top. I'm going to make this hairline again by hitting this here. I'm going to remove part of the circle, and you can see it's not totally lined up. So I'm going to slowly move it in until my lines are on top of each other. We're very close. Then I'm going to trim the bottom part of the airfoil away with my knife tool. You can see once again we can either pull this line back to the start of the lead in, and I'm going to hold shift down and then combine them. I have to hit combine first, and basically you'll make two arrows into one. Now that's combined, and now you can see also I'm going to hold shift down again, click on the red line, and when they're combined this line will turn to black. I'm going to place another node here by hitting the plus feature. I'm going to drag this down, hit delete or use the knife tool, and then I have to hit combine again. Now it is a solid object at the leading edge. Continuous down. As you can see, there's arrows that are, or boxes that show where the nodes are on the airfoil. And now this is still disconnected on the back of the airfoil to the rectangle template. That is now connected. And now I'm going to use the knife tool again and take that out. And then I'm going to click select tool, arrange and combine. And of course when it's solid again it will fill. So I don't have any broken lines at this time. I will hit one other feature. If you do have these two items filled, you see how the MH22 is shown right now. When I fill them with a color, it is of course covered because the MH22 is on the second layer. In order to get the MH22 on the top layer, I'm going to select, I'm going to cut the item from the bottom layer, I'm going to paste it, now it's placed on the top layer. I can go ahead and fill them with any color I would like. And of course for the laser cutter, I don't want any fill at any time. unless I'm going to be engraving, which I don't like to engrave these because it takes too long. I'm going to go ahead and move this up. I'm going to take the airfoil from this feature and I'm going to place it on top of this template. I always like to cut the airfoil out because it does aid in cutting the airfoils when you're doing it in a manual, when you're cutting the airfoils with manual templates. Delete my guidelines. And I'm going to change this to black in the outline pin feature. And as you can see, it's still a hairline. I got to place it black. So on my laser cutter, and I will not need this feature here. So I have my airfoil that I'm going to be cutting. I'm going to have my bottom template and my top template. Sometimes I'll label here with the size of the template just for reference. And if I want to see how big this airfoil is, I'm just going to select the airfoil and look up at the box. It's 8.927 inches, which was scaled to another project. Thank you. Have a nice day.